Buenos dias. Welcome back to the Vista. I hope you have your favorite holiday drink because we are going to be talking all things how to decorate for fall in a tiny space. Do I have something on my face? In case you don't know, I live in Florida, so technically it won't be fall until like January. But we can pretend. We live tiny. We live in a toy hauler as a family of 6, and so I wanted to share with you my top tips on how exactly it is you can decorate and bring all the cozy vibes to your small space. And most of these are pretty renter friendly as well, because in an RV you don't want to make a bunch of holes, so command strips are going to be your friend. If you are like, I have no idea what my interior design style is, I have no idea what I like, cool. There's this handy little platform called Pinterest. My first recommendation is for you to go on Pinterest and look up fall decor and see what reoccurring themes keep coming up for you. Is it moody like ours? We love dark colors, we love like moody vibes. That is me, and it's prominent across our home regardless of the season that it's in. Once you have pinned all of your favorite images, then you can go ahead and start looking up, okay, what colors keep coming up for me? What textures keep coming up for me? What aesthetics keep coming up for me? And then you want to go on Canva and just create a mood board with about 5 to 10 photos. It doesn't have to be anything overwhelming, but this is a great starting point so that you know exactly what are the feels that you want to bring into your space. One really important caveat here is when it comes to interior design of small spaces, it has to be equal parts aesthetic as it is functional. You want to be mindful of functionality, aesthetics, and proportions, okay? Keep that in mind. Alright, so when it comes to lighting, here are my top tips. Number 1, candles. I love using candles. I love the glow. The second way is kind of like you saw in my room. It's my new favorite addition. It's hanging Edison lights. You can also use wall scones using command hooks, and they should be battery operated. Now, some other options are LED strip lights, depending on, again, whether you're in a college dorm room, just in your mom's house, and you want a way to separate the seasons. LED strip lights are also a great and renter-friendly option where you could just take them down when you're all done. And of course, floor lighting. Floor lighting is pretty inexpensive nowadays. You can get some pretty cheap ones at Target or IKEA or Amazon. I love using textures. I think textures really brings about a different layer of interest and beauty into your space, and of course that coziness that we're really looking for when we're talking about autumn decor. And so some of the ways that we do this is through our bed sheets. Some of the ways that you can do this as well is through rugs. We've done it through our faux backsplash like you'll see in our kitchen. We've done it through rugs in our kids' play area, in our bedroom. We love leather, we love wood. These are just textures that are really going to pop across the house. Some other ways that you can bring about texture into your home, you can use blankets as well. Throw blankets are great for just bringing in some coziness into your home. One thing that I've really been playing with that I don't think a lot of people consider, but I have noticed as a really cool way of kind of transitioning seasons, is swapping out your family photos. I love using really tight shots. I love using just detail shots versus using typical family photo shots. When you live in a place like Florida where we only really have 2 seasons, and that's hot and less hot, you want to try and use small details to your advantage. So things like these photos, by swapping them out, again, it's just a really cool way to kind of trigger in your home, like, oh, okay, we're going into a new season. So here's some ways that you can actually make your tiny space feel larger. Especially when you're in a tiny home, this is probably the number one situation that most of us have, right? So let's talk about exactly how you do that. The first way is to use mirrors. So mirrors actually bounce light off of them, making the space feel more ample, more bigger. Mirrors actually fool the eye into thinking that there's more space than there actually is. So you want to be strategic when using mirrors to make your space feel bigger. The next thing that we do is we open up the windows. Opening our windows every single morning is just, again, a way for us to incorporate the outside into our home and let the landscape and let the environment really play into our house. And I love the pops of greenery that complement the already green and dark aesthetic that we have. We find that it makes our design pop just a little bit more. So the last thing that I want to share with you is actually not so much a design tip, just an overall tip that I think is the number one thing that you want to keep in mind when creating your fall home decor. At the end of the day, you can have the most beautiful pieces, you can have just the coolest space. If you're not really creating an experience with that decor, then it kind of falls flat, it kind of falls short. My mom is really great about doing this, where she really appeals to all of the senses when it comes to literally every single season. She is above and beyond when it comes to decor. So here's some ways you can do that. Is, like I said, you want to appeal to the senses. So we already talked about textures, right? And we have that feels texture. Now I really want you to consider some auditory senses that you can be appealing to, and smells. So for example, candles. I love candles. We have candles running pretty much, if we're home, candles are on. I love candles in the home, and I think, again, it's just a way to elevate the experience. If you prefer not to use candles, you can use essential oils. You could even boil things like apples, oranges, clovers, cinnamon sticks, and just that smell, again, really appeals to the senses. You can also put on a pot of coffee or some tea. You can do hot chocolate, exactly for that same effect, to just kind of bring in some of those cozy feels. I mentioned this before, but if you are in a place where already fall is in season, then you could actually just open your windows and let the cool air in. Again, this is just a way for you to literally feel like, oh yeah, we are in fall. It's cozy up in here. One hack that I love to use, especially when my kids have temper tantrums and things like that, is classical music. I will link down below the playlist that I use to calm my kids down when they're going through that, but also a classical playlist that I like to use for autumn feels. So whatever this looks like for you, whatever reminds you like, oh yeah, we're in autumn right now, that's the one that you want to be using, and just kind of have it as background music. Speaking of autumn, the fall enrollment for the Synergy and Motherhood and Business course is open. It is the only course created for free-spirited rebel moms like you and me that are curating our dream lifestyles and doing it in a totally trailblazer, totally rebel mama type of way. This is going to help you create that work-life balance that you've always strived for, but the productivity gurus, they just don't get you. I understand where you're coming from. Like I said, I'm a mom of 4. I have multiple businesses that I run, and I live a life that I genuinely love. If this is something that you want to do as well, the link to join my course is down below. If you have any questions, comment them in comment box. You can send me an email. Bye. Sweet nightmares, Beast fam, and I will see you in la próxima.